Hi guys, welcome back to Running a Freelance Design Business. This is lesson 13 and we are looking at rates. In this lesson we are going to help you calculate your rates and understand which format of pricing and generally how much to charge you're going to work to. So we're going to be looking today about pricing, rates. It's a big subject. We've tried to break it down as simply as possible to make it as interesting as you or for you as we can. It's not a straightforward thing to price design because design is such a creative kind of concept. There's a lot of complications in it. It's not just straightforward, all right, I'm going to charge X amount for a design unless you decide it to be. So the first thing you want to do is decide whether you want to go hourly or fixed pricing. However, if you've not had much experience with designs, especially if you've just been designing for a company, you've worked as an employee, all the pricing and things like that will have always been handled for you. So that means that you maybe have never actually physically sat down and worked out how long it takes you to create a logo, considering all the variations, the revisions, the planning process. You've maybe never sat down to work all that out. So that's something you're going to need to do. So how can you actually go about estimating that? Well, you need to work out roughly how long it takes. Maybe when you're designing your own logo, maybe on one of your sort of first projects, you might be able to work with a family or friend and just explain, look, I'm not quite sure how much I have to charge yet. Can I use this as a tester project to work on it to find out how long? And if it's 50 hours, then you're going to get a good idea of how long it takes to work on a design project. And that comes back to a con of both fixed and hourly pricing. You just don't know how long it's going to take you. Therefore, you don't know how to charge, how much to charge per hour, how much to charge overall. One problem that you'll run into if you get the pricing wrong is that you may have no clients because it's too expensive, or you may have too many clients because you've just undercut yourself. You are really cheap, very enticing, but you're not making enough profit. And also, if you're going towards the lower end, you might find you actually have more competition from kind of job boards, from people who are just doing design on the side as a little bit of a hobby. So you need to get pricing right from the start. In general, you're probably going to favour fixed pricing because clients prefer it because they know that actually they're going to just get one final invoice at the end. They know how much it's going to be. There's no unexpected hidden costs like there might be with hourly charging, like it taking you 40 hours more than you think. But also, it allows you to put profit margins in a little bit. It allows you to manage them a little bit more. So you know that if it's going to take so long, you would charge an hourly rate of so much. That would be your base price, and then whatever you've added on top is actually your profit. Fixed pricing also rewards you a little bit more in terms of perceived value to the buyer. For example, if you go out and buy a car, the car will have cost maybe $500 to make, but you end up paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 because of the perceived value of that brand, of what it'll actually give you, and also so the company makes profit, so they cover all their overheads. So that's what you're doing with fixed pricing, whereas when you work on an hourly basis, you're only rewarded for the work you've done, and in general that will be cheaper for clients, and in general it just doesn't suit or favour you as much. However, if you're working with design agencies, they may require you to work on an hour by hour basis, so that's going to be a little bit of a decision you need to make. So how do you actually calculate fixed pricing and hourly rates? Well, we're going to look at a brilliant little calculator for working out rates now from the Freelance Switch site. Okay then guys, so we're going to help you actually calculate your hourly rate now. We're going to use this excellent tool from freelanceswitch.com, which is the Freelance Switch Hourly Rate Calculator. And you can find that at freelanceswitch.com/rates. Now, the one thing you want to remember with this is it's not going to give you your industry's sort of going rates. It's not going to give you any sort of averages. This is just going to give you a rate that you should charge to make profit. You're going to need to do a little bit more research. You're going to have to look and find out perhaps what the sort of going rate is for your industry and also what beginners and experienced designers are charging. And you can do that using the Rockable Press book. If you go to rockablepress.com, on there you will find the book which was written by Amanda Hackwith, which is all about the pricing of freelance designers, and you'll get kind of information about what they're charging, what they are offering to clients. It's a brilliant book. There we are, look, Freelance Confidential, and it's also got lots of other information in there. including sort of where do you find your clients, how do you promote your work. So it's a great book to have a look at, Freelance Confidential, and it's well worth just looking at it just so you can get an idea of what people are charging in your industry. But we're going to go ahead and use this book now, Freelance, the page here, the app, and all you need to do is just follow along with these very easy to use boxes. It's going to be individual entirely to you, but I'll do a quick run through of exactly how it works. So, how much is your annual office rent? Well, I've just got an office, so let me do a quick calculation. Let's just say it's $10 a week, which would be a nice round figure. 52 weeks in a year, that's $520. How much do you spend annually on travel? Let's just say $200. How much do you spend each year on computers, furniture, and equipment, which we've discussed already? 1,000. How much do you spend each year on software? 1,000. How much do you spend on communication? I know that my phone bill is roughly $100 a month, so $1,200. And how much does your annual insurance cost? $1,000. How much do you need to spend on legal fees? So accountants, solicitors, that sort of stuff. And as it says there, it's definitely worth getting included those costs at the very beginning. So if you wanted to start a company, you might be looking at $200 or $300, and then your sort of any other advice you want on top. So maybe $500. How much do you need to spend on accountancy fees? $1,000. How much will your office supplies cost annually? $250. How much will you spend in advertising and promotion? Let's just say $1,000. And anything else such as couriers, business taxes, association fees. Let's just put $1,000 for that if it's including business taxes, or even more depending on your business. So you can see there it's given our total business cost for a year as $12,670. Note that it says up here that it doesn't matter whether you actually take the dollar sign into account. You can just switch out the numbers for the pounds or rupees or whatever you want. So then we're going to calculate our personal costs, and that is going to help us be able to then offset that. So how much is your annual rent and mortgage payments? Well, let's just say $50 a week. That's $200 a month. That's $2,400 per year. What is your annual budget for daily expenses? Let's say $10 a day, so $3,650. How much do you intend to save for your retirement fund? $4,000 per year. How much do you spend each year on occasional expenses? So things like servicing your car, going on holidays, let's just put 1,000. How much will you be spending on anything else? So anything that doesn't fit into that, let's just put 250. So you can see, you just follow along. All you need to do is simply read the boxes, have the figures to hand, or have the estimates to hand, and then you can input that. And then that gives us a total personal cost for the year of $11,300 for that year. Now we work out how many hours we can actually physically bill in the year. So how many days a week do you work on average? How many days a week do I work on average? Well, I work around 6 or 5.5. How many days of vacation do you need annually? Let's put 14 days. How many sick and personal days do you need annually? Let's put 7 days. How many religious or public holidays? Well, there are, I believe, around 8 public holidays in England, and then religious holidays, let's just put 15. How many hours do you work per day on average, which is obviously an important number, so let's put 8. And approximately what percentage of hours can you actually bill? So if you've ever heard of the 80-20% rule, that's a pretty good guide if you're not sure. So let's put 20% of the day we can actually bill, which means we have 442 billable hours per year. Then the last box helps us to input a dollar or savings and profit amount. So this is just any kind of additional profit you want to make on top of covering all your expenses, paying for all your personal expenses. So let's have a think about that. We want to save, let's say, $5,000 per year for our business. Hit the button at the bottom, calculate rates now. And you can see there we've come out with a very reasonable ideal hourly rate of $65 per hour. Your break even, that is just to keep your business ticking over and everything running fine, is $54.28. So you can see that's an excellent little calculator. It's really easy to use, and that will give you a very accurate per hour rate and also a break even rate. So definitely consider checking that out when you are trying to calculate your hourly rate. But what about calculating flat rates? Well, flat rates are a little tougher. You can always end up losing money if you're not quite careful enough with your pricing in the beginning, so it's quite tough. You don't know what will happen in a project, but your client has already been given that price, so actually coming back to them and saying, well, actually it's going to cost you $200, $300, $400 more might be a bit difficult. Clients obviously like a fixed price and it being stuck there. So what you want to do is you make sure you get at the right level so you've got enough work on, you haven't got too much work, you're not getting really fussy clients, really low-end jobs which aren't making you any money. The way you do that, well, we've talked about doing a mock project so you know how long it takes. Then using the hourly rate you calculated to then just times it by the number of hours and then adding a profit margin on, or if you've used the calculator from Freelance Switch, that will have your profit already included in your hourly rate. But it would also be advisable to have a look around and see what other freelancers are charging. So you could perhaps download this ebook from Rockable Press, which is all about freelance rates. That would be a brilliant start. So you can get a rough general idea. Also contacting local freelancers, seeing what they charge, gives you an idea if your hourly or the calculation you've done, timesing it by hours and then a little bit on top, is going to be working, if it's sufficient, if it's not enough, if it's going to be competitive. But don't be too scared of getting it wrong, because your first few projects, there's always going to be teething problems, little bits you're going to learn and pick up on. So just remember, you can adjust your rates at any point, providing you don't do it with a client halfway through a project. And you can just tweak it until you get it right, till you're making enough profit, till you feel like you're being rewarded for the work you're doing, until you've got the right balance between too little and too much clients. That's how you're going to know if you've got it right or wrong, is whether you have too many or too little clients in general. So in this lesson, we've looked at pricing, we've considered how you can actually calculate a price, and we've looked at the benefits and disadvantages between fixed and hourly pricing. Your task for the lesson is to sit down, utilize the Freelance Switch calculator we've already discussed to be able to go ahead and actually calculate your pricing. We're going to do, or you should work out a fixed price for certain design projects such as a web design, a logo design, but also work out your hourly rate for that. Next time on Running a Freelance Design Business, we'll look at Lesson 14, Services You'll Offer. Thanks for watching.